I'm with Steve. Hi Steve, how are you?
How you doing?
Just tell me who's Steve, or who's Steve Jaguar?
The Jaguar. My name is Steven Lukatsy, but everyone knows me as Jaguar, the Jaguar. I have another 10 variations. Everyone calls me different stuff, but yeah, ultimately everyone just calls me Jaguar.
Why?
Jaguar is my alter ego. It's actually my favorite animal since I was a little kid, and I was always mentioning the Jaguar in the gym, so a couple of people started calling me that, and it just spread like wildfire. Now everyone calls me Jaguar. I forget my name sometimes.
Now we know you now as a Steve, that the one who is teaching a coach for striking for an MMA fighter. With that age, 25 years old, you start 3 years back, right? So that you start when you were 22 years old. How this come?
Yeah, so just briefly say the situation. I actually had dreams of fighting my whole life, and when I was 18 years old, I had a very bad injury. I had a very bad concussion that I actually almost died from. A lot of people don't know about this. I don't tell this to my fighters, to nobody, just because I don't want anybody to feel bad for me. But this completely rerouted my life, and this led me into just sticking around what I love. But I just found coaching through a person that asked me to train a girl that was in my previous gym that asked me to train her. And after this, I really never looked back. I just felt so good, and this gave me potential to be in the sport that I love, just from a different aspect.
Okay, what's your background? Okay, you're 25. What you told me that you start martial art when you were 9 years old. So what's your background?
Yeah, so when I was 9 years old, I started Muay Thai. My father just found a nearby gym, just because my father is from, he's from Russia, and his background is also
tough guys.
Tough guys, always you have to be ready on the street and all this stuff. And especially growing up in New York, it's not an easy place. You see a lot of stuff. And yeah, my father just wanted me to be prepared for situations. That kind of opened up a new door for me. And when I was 13 years old, I watched a movie called Ong Bak, which is about Muay Thai, and that made me grow about the sport even more. And eventually I just went into kickboxing, and yeah, I started studying boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, put together just my own little striking style.
Steve, what the difficulties you faced as a 22 years old, just going for that field, where there's a giant in that field, teaching a striking for an MMA fighter?
I'd say the biggest difficulty for me was the fact that nobody believes and trusts you, and people always doubt from firsthand if they don't know much or they didn't see you. So the first thing it's easier for people to say no than yes. So when you ask people for something, of course they're going to say no. They don't care if you're good or not. But little by little, you gain people's trust and you show your work, and then some people accept you, some people not. Even today's day, I work with a lot of UFC fighters, and there's still people telling me no, and now I approach it differently. Now I realize it's okay, because some people will say no, some people will say yeah. You'll always have positive and negative feedback. And another thing that for me was difficult is the fact that I don't have a lot of fighting experience. I only have a few fights under my belt, so some people question that aspect, but my answer to that is most of the time the best fighters are the worst coaches, and the best coaches are the worst fighters.
Yeah,
it's always going to be like that. There's two different aspects. One is a selfish guy that has to take care of himself. The other one is a person that takes care of many people, and it's just two different worlds. So some people can translate that, but most people don't.
So you start your career as a coach in the state, right?
Yeah. So I started in a gym, K Dojo. This is a gym that I have a friend from Azerbaijan, Nazim Sadikov. He's going to be in the UFC one day. This is a guy that we've been very close with since we're 12 years old. We've been going at this path for almost 13 years now. He's 2-1 as a pro. He's training at Ray Longo's gym in Long Island, New York, with many guys, Ali Quinta, Aljamain Sterling, very good team. And we started off in this just two kids dreaming, and now we're here. We're working with some of the best guys, and I always we stay in touch. He's doing his thing in his gym, I'm doing my thing in my gym, and yeah, we're just looking to grow and be the best at what we do.
Where you moved? Next step? Where is the next step? You start with the gym in New York, I think.
Yeah. So
then you went to the other gym, which you told me about. The owner is originally from Russia.
Yeah. He's Circassian, and actually, so K Dojo, my friend Nazim, he was under that gym. And it happens that most of the time when my friend moves to different gyms, I just come along with him. So my friend was working and fighting for K Dojo, and I was meeting, I met Murat there, who's a good guy, and he was pretty accepting, but still, kind of.
A young kid like.
Yeah, who's this young kid? 22 years old. He wants to coach, and yeah, he said, "Listen, you want to coach? You really want this bad?" I kept asking him. He said, "Okay, but there's no salary," and K-Dojo is maybe 1 hour away from my home, an hour and a half if there's traffic, and it's difficult for me to go back and forth. This is 3 hours. So I asked him for a spot in this fighter house, which is a few minutes away from the gym. It's open house, many people are coming in and out, fighters, and yeah, he told me, listen, you have a bed in the house, and he said you can work here, you can train the fighters, but there's no salary. And for me, I said, okay, that's a good start.
You want a chance?
It's my chance, to just show myself and also grow, because I had this vision of what I wanted to do, but still, I look at myself holding pads 3 years ago to now, it's just a completely different person.
Yeah, fighter outside the cage now. You're a fighter outside the cage.
Yeah, 3 years ago, I was a pad holder. Now I'm a striking coach. It's a
so how when you are in K-Dojo, so you work for like 4 days a week?
Yeah, so I was working like 4 or 5 days a week. Murat gave me, off the back, he gave me 2-3 fighters. Well, I had my friend Nazim, I had a guy Josel, and one more fighter, Turpal, which is a Chechen kid. He's 20 years old. You guys will see him in the UFC one day as well. Yeah, he gave me these 3 people, and he said, listen, you can train them, you can go to the fights with them, and that's where
where you used to live?
I'm from Brooklyn.
No, where you used to get your money that this...
Yeah, I used to come back Friday night after I finished my work week, and I would be delivering pizza Friday night, Saturday all day, and Sunday all day, and then Monday I would go back to New Jersey to work and train the fighters.
That's nice. Then was this why you moved to Tiger Muay Thai?
Yes.
Or to Phuket Top Team first, then your Tiger Muay Thai?
Yeah, so my original first thing, I came out to Phuket Top Team was just to lose weight, and I still had my dream of fighting alive. So I made like maybe 2-3 trips there. Over a period of time, I would go for 3 months, come back home for 4 or 5 months like this. So I was still a part of the Phuket Top Team family. And yeah, when I realized that fighting wasn't for me, I started holding pads for people in Phuket Top Team. This was already my last trip there. And yeah, that's really where the dream began. And then that's when I came back home. I went to K-Dojo. So before I even went to K-Dojo, Phuket Top Team was the first place where I actually developed a love for coaching, for training some fighters. I met some people. I had a fighter, Brendan Lotnane. He's a very good fighter. He's 17-3. Fought in ACA, even fought in UFC a few times. So he gave me he trusted me a bit. That's where I got some exposure. So it was easier to work with Murat when he saw that, okay, well, there's a kid, there's some videos, let's give him a chance. But still, once again, no pay. It's a struggle, but it was really worth every moment because it taught me to, one, appreciate money, and it just motivated me.
Okay, tell me I'm living in UAE, and everyone's talking about Tiger Muay Thai, Tiger Muay Thai. So all the Arab world knows about Tiger Muay Thai. I think Tiger Muay Thai, they did a good job in marketing themselves. But we want to know, like, from a man who's working now in Tiger Muay Thai, what's a Tiger Muay Thai? Who's behind Tiger Muay Thai? What's the story? How they are big and why they are big?
Yeah, so I think, I'd say that before, I used to not want to go to Tiger because to me it was just a commercial gym. It was just a gym that does good marketing, that has good fighters, and that was it. I didn't know the ins and outs or behind the scenes of it. Yeah, so when I came to this gym, I started realizing that it's not just this commercial gym, there's actually legitimate good coaches. And yeah, like, aside from the marketing aspect of it, they have a great team of people that are posting every day on social media, people that are in talks with different promotions, they're getting you fights. It's actually, there's a family inside Tiger. So when you get into this family, that's when you start seeing like the ins and outs of it. And it's run by, it has a time management, there's a whole team, there's a system, there's offices, it's more than just a regular gym that you walk into. And there's a reason why it gained this popularity. And also, it took years for that. Aside from being the first gym to open up on that road, they're the longest standing, and they constantly were putting money into the gym as well. It wasn't just, they opened up, that's it. They kept flooding in money, they're bringing out different fighters, and then it became a destination where a lot of people were coming. I think that's one of the reasons that draws a lot of people to Tiger, is because when you come to sparring, you'll have 60 people there on the mat.
Different nationalities.
Different nationalities, different promotions. So if you're a younger guy, who's just I don't know, maybe making a pro debut, or you're in the UFC, you'll find sparring for every level. So that brings people in, and then of course then you start opening up to strength and conditioning, different coaches. I just like the structure and the system that they have. For example, the coaches, George Hickman and Frank Hickman, it's the Hickman bros, they have the system, they're running the Tiger Muay Thai, like George is the head MMA coach, Frank is his brother, he's the wrestling coach. I like their system, but once again, it doesn't work for everybody. So not everybody comes specifically for them. I'd say maybe 30% of people come for them, the rest just come because it's, you know, maybe Tiger sponsors them, or there's just a lot of bodies.
So Tiger Muay Thai, there is a category, a fighter, professional fighter category. The other categories is, I think, people they want to just lose weight, they are going to Thailand, or non-professional Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, or MMA fighters, or they fight in a small organization, amateur. They go there to have fun and just to feel that experience. Is it right or wrong?
Absolutely. When you come in and you get the timetable for the schedule, you have classes that are labeled pro classes, you have classes that are labeled for beginners, you have classes that are labeled for intermediate. It doesn't matter. Tiger has it all. It just depends on what you want to attend, what you want to grow in. So if you're an intermediate guy that wants to grow more and you want to attend the pro class, you can talk to somebody and, you know, they'll welcome you in. You can see for yourself, test yourself. That's the beauty of it, that it just depends on you, what you want to go in. Most people, if they're beginners, they just want to stick with beginners. They just, like you said, want to lose weight, you know, they want to get better, maybe just pick up some things, they're tourists. But the MMA team is actually quite small. And even the fact that it's very small, it controls most of the marketing, because all the marketing and most of the marketing that Tiger gets is from their MMA team. It's from the UFC fighters, from these high-level names that...
How many, give me some names of that UFC or Bellator fighters that they're using a Tiger Muay Thai as a hub for training camp?
Well, like right now, we have Peter Yan, we have Alexander Volkanovski, my friend Rafael Fiziev, Brad Riddle, who's in the UFC as well.
Shevchenko.
Valentina Shevchenko, Antonina, that's the two sisters. And just, there's a lot of guys that come in and out. Like, they'll come for a month, they'll come for 2 months. Like, we have a guy now, Lerone Murphy, who's a guy that I work with. He just fought Zubaira Tahugov in Abu Dhabi. He took a short notice fight. So you just don't know, because today on the mat there might be 8 UFC fighters, tomorrow there might be 10 UFC fighters, one day there might be only 2. But no matter what, you'll always get high-level training there. You just don't know who's going to pop up on the mat.
That's nice. As Steve now, as a professional striking coach, what the steps you take if like someone coming in, Tariq Suleiman, is your student now, what the strategy you are using with Tariq Suleiman to develop Tariq Suleiman, or just to prepare him for the next fight?
Yeah, so my first thing is to analyze and see what he's good at and what he has weak points in. So I want to improve his weak points, but at the same time I want to pick up his strengths as well. So we're going to create a balance of both. I don't want to just focus on only one thing. I want all my guys to be versatile, because you can't just focus on one little thing. You have to split it up and create a balance. And yeah, I just would see what's working for him, what's not working. Maybe in the sparring is probably the best way to see what a fighter is good at. It's great on the pads, but you know, when people don't hit back, then guys get too comfortable. And in sparring, it's different. When you have somebody in front of you that's hitting back, that's when you can really see the fighter, what his distance is like, how he moves, what he does, things he makes mistakes in, maybe he doesn't keep his hands up. All these little things, these all play a factor when you come out and fight in a cage. And it's my job to notice this, because if I don't tell him, nobody else will. He's just going to create more bad habits, and the longer that you have these habits, the harder it is to get rid of.
So another step related to the same, another question, I mean. Now, Tariq Suleiman has a fight, he has a striking coach, which is you, grappling, strength and conditioning. There is any cooperation is going between the coaches just toward Tariq Suleiman or an MMA fighter? I'd
say towards Tariq, yeah, but this doesn't always happen to all my fighters. But if specifically talking about Tariq, I believe so, because Tariq works under the Hickman Bros system. They work together. That's the coaching staff in Tiger, and that's pretty much the people that I'm working with as well. So we're all together in the same trainings.
You talk about what we have to do today. He trained like hard conditioning so that you're gonna go You're gonna go just easy on him this day because he did a very hard session of grappling or conditioning?
Yeah, usually if I'm the one that approaches and asks, but actually most people don't really communicate too much. They just do their aspect of it. I just do it because I really care about my fighter, and I want to make sure that he's in his best performance. So I mean that he has his best performance. So sometimes your body needs rest, no problem. Like before, that's another thing that a lot of people don't know. For the fight with Rustam, one of the reasons, I'd say the main reason, and this is not an excuse at all, but if you guys watched Mairbek Taisumov's last fight and Tarek Suleiman's last fight, they had one big similarity, and they're both completely overtrained for the fight. So they're physically, I mean mentally, they're strong and all this stuff, but when you come out, your mind and body, they just don't connect. And as much as you showed yourself in the training room, the only thing that matters is the 15 minutes that you're coming out for in the fight. And if you don't show up there, your 3 months of hard training, it means nothing. And yeah, they both had this situation. They came out, they just couldn't perform. They were very overtrained. For this fight, Tarek was smart. If he needed to take a day off, he did. Sometimes 2 days off. He just did things more intelligently this time, and I believe it's going to show in the fight.
Okay. Last question. What do you know about the Arabs MMA?
To be honest with you, not too much. Tarek was really the key to this, I'd say, world, because it's new, fairly new, that it's growing, and I know there's a lot of hidden talent here, a lot of people that are flying under the radar, and now with Tarek coming out here to Abu Dhabi and meeting so many people, brave fighters, UAE Warriors fighters, and just guys that have the same dream. It doesn't matter whether you're from America or you're from this part of the world or you're from Africa. You have this dream and you just keep working for it. You don't stop. And I just want to keep traveling in places like this, working with more fighters from this part of the world and keep learning more.
At the end, I want to thank you for your time, Steve Jaguar, and I hope to do another interview within like 5 or 10 years with you. We will see where you're going to be and where we're going to be.
Retired.
Wish you all the best. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.